This video shows the moment a police officer in Switzerland brutally pinned down a Nigerian man after they suspected him of being involved in criminal activity. The man would later die while in police custody, thereby sparking a protest by fellow Nigerians living in Switzerland. It all began on the evening of May 25, 2025, when Swiss police officers approached Michael Kenechukwu Ekemezie in central Lausanne around 9 p.m. during what they called a routine check. The 39-year-old Nigerian man, who hailed from Awka North in Anambra State, had been living in Switzerland for over 10 years, working hard to build a better life for himself. The officers claimed that Michael's behavior suggested he was involved in a possible drug-related activity. The situation quickly escalated when Michael reportedly tried to flee the scene. The police officers pursued and arrested him after what they described as resistance. According to reports, Michael was in Anambra State in January 2025 to bury his late father before going back to Switzerland, only to finally meet his untimely death. The viral footage revealed what turned out to be the beginning of Michael's final moments. In the recording, the Nigerian man could be seen pinned face down on the street by a Swiss police officer. Despite his repeated cries that the officer was hurting him, the policeman continued to forcefully restrain him. Michael appeared handcuffed and distressed, with his pleas for help ignored by the officers at the scene. After the street confrontation, authorities said they transported Michael to the police station for questioning once the situation had calmed down. However, during this process, he became sick and eventually collapsed while in custody. Paramedics were called to the scene, but despite their efforts to revive him, Michael Kenechukwu was pronounced dead shortly before 10 p.m. that same evening, making it less than an hour after the initial police encounter. The sharp turn from what was called a routine police check to a fatal outcome shocked the local Nigerian community and observers worldwide. Michael was described by those who knew him as a hardworking individual who had dedicated over 10 years of his life to building a future in Switzerland. He had a family in Nigeria consisting of his wife and 3 children. His family and friends remembered him as someone who worked diligently to establish himself in his adopted country. The circumstances surrounding Michael's tragic death have drawn comparison to the murder of George Floyd, which occurred exactly 5 years earlier on May 25, 2020. Human rights activists have noted the chilling similarities between both cases. Like George, Michael was a black man who was handcuffed and pinned face down by law enforcement officers. Both men showed distress during their encounters with police, and both ultimately lost their lives as a result of the force used against them. The fact that Michael's death coincides with that of George Floyd shows that the issues that led to Floyd's death still continue to affect black individuals globally. The video evidence in both cases serves as a powerful documentation of what advocates describe as excessive and ultimately fatal use of force by police officers. Following Michael's death, the Vaud Regional Public Prosecutor's Office opened a criminal investigation to determine the exact circumstances that led to the fatality. Swiss prosecutors ordered an autopsy, and forensic pathologists along with crime scene experts were assigned to assist with the investigation. The investigation aims to establish whether proper protocols were followed during the arrest and detention, and whether the force used by officers was appropriate for the situation. Swiss authorities stated that they are examining all available evidence, including the video footage that captured the encounter. However, human rights groups and the Nigerian community have criticized the response from Swiss authorities as insufficient given the severity of the incident. Many have called for greater transparency in the investigation and more immediate action against the officers involved. This tragic incident adds to a disturbing pattern of police-related death involving black residents in Switzerland, particularly in the canton of Vaud. According to reports, 4 black men died following police interventions in the region between 2016 and 2021, prompting a widespread protest against racism and police brutality. One notable previous case involved Mike Ben Peter, a 39-year-old Nigerian man who died in 2018 after a forceful arrest during a drug search near Lausanne railway station. Peter was pinned face down by 6 police officers, and he suffered a heart attack eventually dying in a hospital just a few hours later. The 6 officers involved were charged with negligent homicide. However, they were later acquitted in 2024. Their acquittal sparked further outrage in the community. 2 other deaths involving police shootings were ruled as acts of self-defense by authorities, while 1 case remains unresolved in the area. This pattern has raised serious questions about police training, protocols, and accountability when dealing with black individuals in Switzerland. Michael's demise has sparked renewed protests and demand for justice from the Nigerian community in Switzerland and civil rights advocates. Demonstrators have taken to the streets calling for accountability, transparency, and systemic reforms to prevent similar tragedies. Legal representatives for Michael's family have submitted formal petitions to Swiss authorities and the Swiss embassy in Nigeria. These petitions demand a full independent investigation, public disclosure of all officers involved, immediate suspension and arrest of the officers pending investigation, an official apology and compensation for Michael's family, and concrete reforms to prevent future incidents of police abuse. Human rights activists have also petitioned the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission and other government bodies demanding prompt diplomatic engagement between the Nigerian and Swiss governments. They argue that every Nigerian citizen's life, whether at home or abroad, must be treated with dignity and protected by their government. One of the most troubling aspects of this case has been what activists describe as media silence from major international outlets. Unlike the global response that followed George Floyd's death, Michael's murder has received limited coverage from major international news organizations like CNN, BBC, or Al Jazeera. Within Nigeria, mainstream media coverage has also been notably limited, which advocacy groups find deeply troubling. They suggest this silence represents a deliberate effort to downplay the brutal nature of the killing and indicates that African lives can be taken without consequences or acknowledgement from the international community. This disparity in media coverage has highlighted broader issues about which lives are considered newsworthy and which deaths receive global attention and calls for justice. The Swiss police have not been able to confirm whether Michael was truly involved in the dealing of illegal drugs. This means he was to be treated as an innocent person until he was found guilty in court. As investigations continue and the legal process unfolds, the Nigerian community in Switzerland continue to demand justice for Michael Kenechukwu Ekemezie. They maintain that his death must not be forgotten and that meaningful changes must be implemented to prevent similar tragedies in the future. May his soul rest in peace.
Allez, no justice, no justice,
no peace.
Police assassin.
Police assassin, yes.
Police Lausanne assassin. Police, 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 police. C'est grave. Ouais. Merci à tout le monde de m'avoir écouté.
Share your thoughts on this case in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel for more true crime stories.